Good morning again. Happy Wednesday. We'll continue the lesson today, the ministry of the new covenant. How does Paul describe the ministry of the covenant of grace? 2 Corinthians 3:4-6 and Colossians 1:25-29. 2 Corinthians 3:4-6 says, "And such trust have we through Christ to Godward, not that we are sufficient of ourselves to think anything of ourselves, but our sufficiency is of God, who also had made us able ministers of the New Testament, not of the letter, but of the Spirit. For the letter killeth, but the Spirit giveth life." In Colossians, we have some Bible verses, but the subject of them is Christ in you, the hope of glory. In Gospel Workers, page 422-423, said, "What a sacred trust God has committed to us in making us His servants to aid in the work of saving souls. He had entrusted us with a great trust, a most solemn testing message for the world. Our duty is not simply to preach, but to minister, to come close to the hearts. We should use our entrusted talents with skill and wisdom, that we may present the precious light of truth in the most pleasing manner, the way best adopted to win souls." What a responsibility is this! To represent Christ in our character, to be living apostles, known and read of all men. We cannot trust our own efforts, as though we could do work of converting souls. God alone can convict and convert. Jesus invites sinners to come to Him with all their burdens, and He will give them rest and peace. This is the way Paul describes beautiful the covenant of grace. And now in question B, we will see how Peter described it. How did Peter say regarding this ministry? 1 Peter 5:1-5, "The elders which are among you I exhort, whom I am also an elder, and a witness of the suffering of Christ, and also a partaker of the glory that shall be revealed. Feed the flock of God which is among you, taking the oversight therefore, not by constraint, but willingly, not for filthy lucre, but of a ready mind, neither as being lords over God's heritage, but being ensambles to the flock. And when the chief shepherd shall appear, ye shall receive a crown of glory that fadeth not away. Likewise, ye younger, submit yourselves unto the elder. Ye all of you be subjected one to another, and be clothed with humility, for God resisteth the proud, and giveth grace to the humble." The center of these verses that Peter said, it's humility. Humble yourself and have the love of God in your heart, and doing everything that you're doing because you love Christ and you love people. Gospel Workers again, page 182 and 183 said, "The great shepherd has under shepherds, to whom he delegates the care of his sheep and lambs." The first work that Christ entrusted to Peter on restoring him to the ministry was to feed the lambs. This was a work in which Peter had little experience. It would require great and care, tenderness, much patience and perseverance. It called him to minister to the children and youth, and to those young in faith, to teach the ignorant, to open the scriptures to them, and to educate them for usefulness in Christ's service. And the question that Christ asked Peter, "Lovest thou me?" is the condition of discipleship and service. This is the essential qualification. Without the love of Christ, he could not be a faithful shepherd over the Lord's flock. Knowledge, benevolence, eloquence, gratitude, and zeal are all aids of the good work, But without the love of Jesus in the heart, the work of the Christian minister will prove a failure. Okay, today we had the example of Paul and Peter in the ministry of the covenant of grace. And this is the ministry, the love of God in our heart. This is the ministry of the covenant of grace. And I hope and I pray for each one of us to have this experience that Paul and Peter had with Jesus. The encounter with him, the experience, personal experience with Jesus. When we get to know Jesus and the way he worked for people, then this love that he has is going to be in our heart for people. And we work for them with that unselfish work. It's just for their salvation. And may God help us to have this success in our daily life. I will see you tomorrow to continue the lesson. May God bless you.